Hello, it's Jessica Amala Dawn, and I am back for your weekly energy update for February 8th to the 14th. So, very good to be back to see you all again. It's been on the whole, a very good week. A lot of big, I think, purgings, healings, shiftings that have been occurring that are leading to some very, very positive breakthroughs. So, but what I will say about that is you kind of have to be willing to work for it a little bit. You have to be willing to actually, stop and do some of that really deep, like residual emotional healing work that's been potentially holding you back from fully receiving the connection with your higher self and with God that wants to be embraced right now. That God is sort of like knocking on the door and being like, hello, like knock, knock, time for God. And so yeah, like it's but if you're willing to kind of allow all of that, anything that's in the way of that, which has a lot to do with old hurts and forgiveness, and really it's all tied with self-worth, because a lot of the reason often why we have a hard time forgiving is because of the beliefs that we've taken on about ourselves, about our worthiness as a result of all of those traumas. And then, when you can finally release that belief about yourself, then it's almost like it's like they're off the hook for having kind of hooked you into that in the first place, and you can, forgive. So, and especially if anyone's had any situations with a counterpart in the past, like a twin flame or, any kind of soul connection where they felt there was some trauma around how that situation occurred, you might find that by doing some of this deeper work on yourself, that it comes a little bit more natural to be able to kind of forgive that person and just sort of let it go and not still feel so burdened by it. And so, I feel like it's kind of interesting, a lot of people have very different perspectives on the whole situation. I'm just looking up, it says 10:10 on my clock. Yeah, definitely a time of like major ending of cycles around like, it's funny too, because I also pulled I haven't been pulling a lot of cards this week, but I did pull the world card. So it's really a time of coming to like a close. And I know I've been saying that for a while about things coming into completion, but it really, really is like a major time of completion as we come into this, what is called a snow moon, which is the supermoon that we have coming up on February 9th. And it technically is like already here tomorrow, February 8th, but it comes to its peak on the 9th. And you'll still be able to feel it on the 10th as well. So I really think it's an exciting time, and I'm excited to see how things shift. I actually, before I get into the cards, I very, very quickly wrote a quick little sort of like channeled little thing about the 5 things that you need to know for the energies of this February snow moon. And I'm going to just like try and go through them. I don't normally go through things that I've pre-prepared or written down unless it's like a pure like channeling, like light language kind of a thing. But this is like kind of new for me to try doing it this way. So we're going to give it a go and see how it goes. So the very first thing is that we are entering a time, or you are entering a time of abandoning darkness and reaching for the light and for God, for guidance. And really, that's all part of what I was saying about this opening to the full love of God that previously you haven't necessarily had full access to because of everything that was needing to get cleared out from your system. And whether it be from trauma-based things like I already spoke about, or also to do with things with your DNA and your mitochondrial DNA that have been passed down from ancestral trauma from your mother's line, your maternal lineage, your biological mother. So, and I think that as part of this, there's going to come a bigger understanding of the unconditionality of that sort of love of the creator. And through that, that's going to help to sort of like neutralize the ups and downs of life. And from there, happiness will begin to expand and grow from this ongoing expansion of the heart to as it continues to expand to embrace more and more divine love and higher love. So, and this is very, very, very positive because this is the kind of thing that like really great masters can do. People that are like really master manifestors that can create things, like just manifest things. Like Derek O'Neill is an example of somebody alive today who can do that. I've been to his retreat in Ireland and met him. And he teaches that really you should treat everything in life as if it is fairly neutral. Like you should react the same way to getting a diagnosis of having some form of cancer as finding out as that you won the lottery. It should be the same. So something to really think about moving more out of these sort of emotional dramatic swings, which I spoke a little bit about in a previous one of my videos about kind of getting past the ultra drama. And I think that just this all pervasive higher love and divine love, which we've been working towards for so long, is really going to help us to move into that more and more. So it's just time. It's very exciting. So the next point, and I kind of spoke again a little bit about this already, is that you're healing self-worth at the root and releasing the old stuck energy that was held in place by any potentially any spell work, or we'll leave it at spell work that may have been keeping you separated from God and the love within your heart. And, without getting too like freaked out about all that, like any sort of words that were done to manipulate something, even like somebody maybe saying negative things about you behind your back, or like any sort of ill intent towards you with words, could be considered a spell. And some people unfortunately like use that to the umpteenth in the past and did things really negative, things that have actually affected people's bloodlines and carried forward through generations with the power of using their words and their energy in a certain way. And all of that is coming to a close, like for people that have been doing all this work that are moving into this closer connection with divine love and with the creator. So, and that's really what's opening up this ability to finally heal these like difficult things with self-worth that have just been very hard to fully let go of, seemingly for like very irrational reasons. Like, why can't I just fully get over this belief of not being worthy? And it's like why is that so hard? Why does that take somebody 10 years in some cases or longer? Well, it's not because I hate to say this, but it's the truth. Some people, it's not at all because you're incapable or incompetent of emotional healing. In some cases, it's literally just because of this difficulty of clearing out a lot of this spell work. And it's now finally getting cleared. So we're very blessed, and it's, pray to your higher powers, whoever you believe in, and to God to be grateful for what's happening right now. So the next thing is, any sort of additional practice you want to add into your prayers to help you release those thoughts. So there's different things you can do. You can look into EFT. You can try reprogramming your thoughts like NLP or affirmations. But just adding that to your practice is all really good right now to help work through this stuff. Or even you could try something like a type of breathwork practice. And these are all different things that like I use in different capacities. And if you want to like learn more about that, you can let me know, and maybe I can assist you. So, hey Beth, hey Sarah, thanks for joining. Great to have you here. So, all right. So the next thing, number 3, is that you're going to start to feel more inspired to open up to that love of the Creator or God in your relationships and in your home. So it's a good time for energetic cleanup of your space and of your, in addition to your mind. So you might feel called to doing like a white sage cleanse through your home if you haven't done that before. It's really powerful. It's the master clearer. I really love it. It kind of makes your home a little bit stinky for, a couple of days, a few days, depending on how much you use. But it really, really, really is, it just really is a nice reset. It's great as a flower essence as well, in a different way for your internal body if you use it regularly. But just to do your whole space is really nice once in a while, especially at a time like this when we're going through this major move into a whole new positive energy and just getting rid of all this gunk. So, and in addition to that, hey Chelsea, thanks for joining. So I would also say it's also a time to consider like releasing or distancing yourself from old relationships that are preventing you from embracing this higher love and your higher self in the fullness that it wants to come into right now. So that doesn't necessarily mean that you need to completely cut people off if that feels uncomfortable or not even really right or correct to do so. But if you're feeling like there's any relationships in your life that have been keeping you stuck in a lower vibration or not being able to fully embrace your self-love, no matter how hard you've tried to embrace the fullness of your self-love while maintaining that relationship, then it's really an important time to consider distancing yourself from that person or those people at this time. And you're supported and protected in doing that. And for myself, the person who I need to do that with for now is my mother. And that is something that I don't know for sure if it's going to be forever, but because of the nature of what needs to be fully healed in me, even down to like literally in my DNA that needs healing, that is tied directly to her. And as long as I am continuing to reinforce the relationship, I'm continuing to reinforce the parts of, not just reinforce it, but as long as I maintain it in a more willing kind of direct capacity, I'm still triggering parts of like my mitochondrial DNA that are saying like, I am not worthy of love. And it's literally just because of things that she's put on me and passed down to me that, I've carried for her so that she didn't have to. And I'm finally just like kind of fully like giving it back because I don't want, I've done my bit with it, and I don't like, I'm in terms of not passing it on to my child, which is, been a lot of work in and of itself. And it's time for like to be releasing of it for myself as well. And so she can now do her part with it, or not really, but it's not on me anymore. So, let me know if that resonates with you, or if that's something that you've been struggling with anyone in your life. Any sort of marital contracts too, or friendships that have been reinforcing anything to do with you not fully embracing your self-worth or your authenticity are gonna it's really that time for them to like shift or fade out. Like I've noticed with my ex-husband as well, that even though I still have to obviously have some level of a relationship with him as a parent, it's like I'm just so neutral about it, and I have to be, despite whatever has happened and despite his behaviors or whatnot. Like I basically just look at everything through the lens of like putting my daughter first and like not having any emotional involvement whatsoever in that situation. And that takes a certain level of self-mastery, but it's really important right now. If you have any sort of like gray area relationships in your life that you can't really fully abandon, but they're not really positive for you, to like find that space for yourself, like that Zen space. So, hey, Julie, great to have you here. So the next thing that you guys need to be aware of, I promise I will pull some cards after this, but I think that this is like super important to get out, is that you will release your past inhibitions that have been preventing you from being bold and showing up with others as you truly are. And it's really time to be free. So opening up to healing and reintegrating parts of yourself that you've diminished or ignored because they were criticized or, you know, punished by others in the past is really, really big right now. So just, it's all going to be a part of the foundation of moving past self-doubt and self-judgment, and to allow your self-confidence to soar, which will really help you take your life to the next level. As you know, this higher love that's wanting to come in wants to bring you up to a much higher level of just how you view yourself, how you love yourself, how you share that love with others, how you show up in the world, how you shine your light in the world, how you just your visions, your even like your increase in psychic abilities or intuition. If you feel, you know, generally speaking, that tends to happen naturally for all people on some level, regardless of their natural psychic ability, as they move along the path into a higher vibration. So all of that. And you know, I feel like just doing things that are kind of fun, you know, doing anything that's going to kind of like rev your energy a little bit to get out of anything that feels stuck is like a good idea to do. If you have any kids, it's kind of like a good opportunity to like do that. You can do something sort of like random and different in terms of how you play with them, or you can just try something new or different that you don't normally do that will get your energy kind of excited and moving in a different way. And that's just going to like help you like feel more free in and of itself. And then you're going to start to see what parts of you are wanting to show up more that have been sort of not fully showing up until now. So it's exciting. So the last thing, number 5, that we've got here on this what's coming up, what to expect, is that you're opening up to higher levels of loving kindness with yourself and others. And even though it's a chance that in the past it might have seemed really hard to do that. And, you know, this has a lot to do with this aspect of forgiveness. And so like I had mentioned previously, like with my ex, like, yeah, okay, like it's not necessarily a relationship I want to energetically put myself into. I wouldn't say that's necessarily a healthy thing, but like there's a level of neutrality and forgiveness there to just like be able to, like I said, try and just look at things from the perspective of like what's going to be good for my daughter. So because, and it's really, really, you know, it's really tough to do that, honestly, when somebody, when you're operating at a very different level vibrationally as the person that you're parenting with. And like even when I went to Peru and I had my coca leaves read, the lady who did my coca leaf reading was like, it was kind of scary. She's like, oh, he's not like the greatest influence on her, but at the same time, like it's better that he's in her life than not, because like I quote, or she'll end up like you. Because I know I grew up in a home where my dad was not like super, super involved. And it was just like, I hate to say it, but like a certain time, like a certain decade, this was like, you know, late 80s and whatnot and early 90s, when often like dads in some cases were gone a lot and didn't necessarily take a 50-50 role, or even a 40-60, or even a sometimes a 30-70 rule in parenting. Like they just were not as involved. And that is not necessarily what's good for a child in terms of understanding, preparing them later for relationships if for a girl, especially with the opposite sex, and like to realize like what it means to really receive love from somebody of the opposite sex. So because of that, like, even though like, I have all my issues with him and the things that, we aren't in alignment with, vibrationally speaking or morally speaking, it's still like if I was to just cut off that relationship totally, I would be depriving my daughter of having like that sort of chance to build up a relationship with her dad, as somebody in the opposite sex who's giving her some sort of a foundation for receiving love for when she's older and has her own relationships. So I hope that makes sense. It's a little long-winded, but I just felt like getting like really crystal clear on my own situation, and that just gives you an opportunity to really think about it for your own. So in a deeper way, because it's a really time to kind of like go in and like really think more deeply about these things and what's really ultimately the most important, and finding peace with all of that and those choices, and letting God kind of guide all of that in a way. So and then, the last part of this is, once you've kind of done that, I think there's going to be this huge burst of energy that's going to come forward to shine your love and light out forward into the world. So the only thing I'll say about that is you have to make sure to take care of yourself first, and always fill your own cup first. And from there, that's going to spill over to bring illumination and healing to others. So just always important to like remember, like if you've taken a bit of a time and you're still kind of maybe still this week taking a bit of a time to really give to yourself, and really, I guess, like finishing up what's been like a very big, long process of connecting with higher love and divine love in a very kind of almost like a concrete way, a very solid way, a very direct channel with the divine, and opening up like I said, all these, pronounced abilities, and then through that solidification, it's just going to be, there's all these other people that are going to be kind of like ping, ping, ping. Oh, well, like, what's this? What's all this light? Like all this light that you've just drawn in is sort of waking me up, and I see a bright light bulb over there, and like, and I'm drawn to it, and I'm starting to wake up, and all these people are going to be looking to you to receive some illumination and some guidance. So it's very exciting, and it's beautiful, and it's I think it's kind of is funny. I pulled this card last week and I spoke forever about it, and I still have it out. And it really makes me think of this card, this fifth ray of intellectual knowledge, where all these people, see this guy, he's kind of like, where is he? He's kind of looking at this woman who's all lit up, and he's like, what's this all about? And that's kind of like, I feel like what's going to come about. So having said all that, let's pull some cards for the week. Let's start with a native spirit oracle. For the overall energy. That's what I'm feeling called to. Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So, yeah, Ancestors came out right away. Like, I didn't even have much of a chance to shuffle. So there's definitely, there's something here about like inheritances coming through from your ancestors that they were not able to fully receive, that wants to be like, that is coming through as part of all of this reconnection with the higher, with the divine love. And it is golden. Like I don't normally say this, but I'm so drawn to the gold in my picture on the wall and the golden light in this picture. And so there's something like to do with prosperity, and it has to do not only with like gold as in financial, like some wealth and prosperity, but also like with the golden light, which I really identify the golden light with the Christ consciousness personally. And it has to do with really grounding that and like birthing that Christed consciousness into your being as part of this reconnection with the higher. And again, like places like stone circles like Stonehenge and others like Avebury and other famous stone circles, they are places that people would go to connect multidimensionally with their ancestors and speak with the higher. And so, you know, I've spoken a lot about, connecting with God, but I also, just realizing a bunch of cards. Okay. But also, in addition to that, it's also your ancestors. It's also your tribe. So there's a real important need to find some quiet time and meditate this week. You know, go within and find the time. And if you have to take some time away from your work, it's really an important time to carve out that little extra time to do this deeper searching. And, you know, it's even worth, you know, going on some journeys. And you can do a shamanic journey. And if you don't know how to do that, it's something that I could teach you how to do or guide you through. But, you know, you also have to kind of feel into what's comfortable for you. So what's next? So that's the overall energy. And I think that's beautiful. And I'm going to pull a gateway card, gateway oracle. What do we need to know? What do people need to know? So this is just another overall energy, and we're calling in all the highest and wisest and most benevolent and loving guides, angels, ascended masters, womb wisdom, crystal caves. Oh, here we go. Oh, yes, yes. So, looking deeper. Deep within me is a majestic radiance. Yeah. And see all those gems inside. See, this water is reflective of the inner world, the subconscious. And then the mountains are also like that highest peak of consciousness. And it's like, so you're calling in this gem, right? And it's like that golden color too, right? Calling in this golden gem of this Christ consciousness. And you're drawing it down into, I guess, all of these gems that you already have inside and awakening and activating them. Awakening like all of these gifts that you have inside of you, that some of them you've maybe always had, some of them you may have been downloading through all of these intense activations that you may have been experiencing over the past 2 or 3 years. And it's all going to start to light up. It's amazing. Above and below. Wow. Really positive. Let's pull. I actually called to pull another gateway card. That's what Spirit's asking me to do. So we're going to go for it. I always just listen to what Spirit says. So I'm very, very intuitive reader. So what else do we need to know? What else does the group need to know? Oh, that's a lot. Okay. So this makes a lot of sense. So my inner power grows in moments of quiet solitude, or just moments of quietude, proceeding softly. So yeah, it's like, you know, and well, it's hard to know if there's somebody else at this table, but right now all you see is a table for one. This is a solo, something you're doing by yourself. It's a solo journey. And interestingly enough, those flowers in the background look like daisy. Not saying they necessarily are, but they look like daisy. And daisy as a flower essence really helps you connect to the higher, to your intuition, to your psychic abilities, helping you to get like really, really clear thinking. So that's very significant. That's very symbolic. And I feel like it's like you have a date for really highest kind of tea that you could have. So, nourish yourself with like some beautiful herbal tea or some rosebud tea, and just meditate, and connect. Have some, if you have. I actually could, if anyone wants, I have daisy essence that I prepared myself. It's been prepared with mountain spring water from the Laurentians and from a one solitary beautiful daisy at the cottage where I grew up, where there's a lot of my childhood love energy and my grandmother's love energy. So if anyone wants that, let me know and I can send you some. But I think it's just reinforcing this whole message, and like the importance of being really soft and gentle with yourself this week as we, go within. And then, the next ones here, we'll just kind of maybe look at these together, is making a difference and dwelling in truth. And making a difference says, my inner light shines far and wide. And they think this is very much speaks to this whole energy I was feeling for like that end of the, at the end of this whole week, at the end of this whole process. I think you're just going to feel like bursting and ready to really explode and sharing your starlight. And I also feel, I'm hearing like your starseed heritage is kind of like washing ashore. Like there's some gifts about understanding your starseed heritage. That's like this sort of extra meaning of this starfish here. It's being gifted to you. And I guess there's gifts associated with that are, being brought up, right, from the water. Like, right, like I was saying, all these gems in the water, all these gifts. It's all tied. I'm loving this reading. So good. So, and yeah, so for the next one, for dwelling in truth, we've got, I stand in the light of truth, right? And she's got her head in the clouds, right? She's connecting with these clouds, with these birds, with this eagle eye perspective, with the mind of God, with the eye of God. Technically, the planet Varuna represents the mind of God. It's very powerful. I've mentioned this before. It's funny, my astrology teacher that teaches, higher consciousness astrology I haven't really been following lately. She hasn't been well. But I've always been amazed. Any single time there was ever a light bridge, which is a light bridge is an opposition between Varuna or any sort of 5D planet, any sort of higher dimensional planet, all the new planets, anything, beyond Pluto, we'll just say, like Eris and all the Kuiper Belt planets and beyond, etc. Sedna, Eris, Quawar, Makimaki, all of them. And there's others. But anything like that, when it's opposite, and we'll just say one of the main planets, so like any of the 8 main, Mars, Pluto, Saturn, Jupiter, etc., is considered a light bridge instead of an opposition, right? And when you have one of those with a Varuna, it's really like, it's beyond 5. It's really like a 7-8D kind of energy. It's really high vibrational vibe that you can tap into if you're sensitive to the cosmic energies whenever there is one of those. More than any other planetary alignment that I've come across. So they're really, really like little gifts from like the creator to like when you can like get a little extra. So I'm curious. I might look into seeing if there's going to be one of those this week. But considering all these energies going on, I wouldn't be surprised if there's stuff going on with Varuna this week that's notable, because it really assists with doing all this work. So yeah, and it's really going to help to clarify how your true, really your higher truth that you may not have even been fully aware of, that is aligned with your higher self, which is aligned with that version of you that is that sort of unique, individuated aspect of source as a higher self. And that's really, and the dwelling in it is really like nesting into it, like you're coming home into this higher space, very much so, and it's becoming your new dwelling. It is your true home. So that's really beautiful. I'm just like kind of touched by all these energies. Hey April, thanks for joining, nice to have you. So what next? Let's pull, I'm just drawn to like all my sort of earthy kind of oracles today. So I'm going to pull on Earth Magic. That's just, you know, how it's kind of going. What do we need to know today in our highest good? Yeah. So this isn't super interesting. So it says here, spring equinox rebirth. So yes, technically we're not like at the spring equinox yet, but we just passed on February 2nd and 3rd Imbolc, which is sort of the halfway point between this winter solstice and spring equinox. And that is the seed point for the spring equinox rebirth. So we're kind of technically like already, if you tap into that, in that energy of moving towards this rebirth, just from like a seasonal perspective. But then on a deeper level, like everything that's going on here, to bring all of this in, you know, this to, you know, awaken these gems and like to bring this gift home is all part of like, it's all leading to a rebirth of you in your new way of being. And it's very earth connected. And like, I think a lot of these gems are not just like, you know, they're not just literally like hard rocks. Not to say that crystals don't provide us with a lot of wonderful healing or anything like that, or like the sacred geometries of crystals are really, really pure and powerful, and we can heal and learn a lot from them and their vibrations. But it's also these gifts of like the earth. And you could see she's got these blue eggs in the nest in her throat, right? She's about to birth something that she's going to speak and share with the world, right? And there's this butterfly right next to it, right? And she's going to share from a place of being transformed, from having become the butterfly. And it's funny because by becoming one with the higher in this sense, like, which can be very, maybe seeming like very ungrounding and very above and one with like the sky and the stars, it's also like very kind of like earthy at the same time, because part of this, I think, enlightenment and awareness it's not just, you know, about this, about a starseed heritage is like way off of there, but it's also like Lemurian wisdom, right? I feel like very much it's a lot of Lemurian wisdom that's coming up from the ocean, from the water, and this very like earth-based, earth-centered way of being and loving and connecting that wants to be resurrected in the new earth template, which brings forward energies from Lemuria and energies from Avalon, and as well as all of these, you know, technologies and insights from other planets and places where star seeds come from. It's all of that like mixed into one in a way that we don't really fully understand right now. It's very beautiful. It's very exciting. So let's pull a Lemurian card as well from a Lemurian oracle, because I had a feeling this was coming up based on the way this reading was going. And then from there, hopefully I can pull like a few tarot for you guys, just to like give you, you know, that bit as well. So yeah, so 2 cards fell out right away. I'm not going to overthink it. They feel like they're right. So the first card is travel, right? And it says right on the card, Lemuria. It's a little hard to read, but there's this golden, again, not surprised that it's golden, this golden banner that says Lemuria on it. So again, it's like bringing in that oceanic golden consciousness. Actually, this is making a lot of sense based on a conversation I had with somebody who made these cards, who talked about how I'm like bringing in this expansive oceanic golden consciousness from Lemuria. And yeah, and like bringing it forward. So this travel card, you know, inner and outer journeys, believe in yourself, big shifts. We've also got here, it's very, very faded, but we've also got the flower of life. It's kind of, you can't really see it, but it's like bringing in these, like literally traveling, I think, through these sort of portals, right? Because these stone circles are portals to other places, time, space, dimensions, realities. And bringing a lot of this in from, in this case, specifically from a place like Lemuria, but from, you know, probably from other places as well. And this blue dragon is very magical. He's very magical. And I feel like it's speaking a lot about bringing in that blue ray in a lot of ways and leading from that. And that has to do with this whole believing in yourself. You know, if you carry that blue ray, like kind of stepping into your confidence about that and feeling more like strong and a warrior in that, like the dragon. So, and you know, as far as external travel, that probably will come as a result of all of this, but I think the inner travel is what's first. The next card we've got is opening the heart. And this is one of my favorite cards in this deck. This is, if you take a look, you can kind of feel into the energy. It's like, it's got so much energy of love. It just blows my mind how that much love and unconditional love could be captured in a piece of cardstock. Is just like beyond me. But it's very special if you ever come to own or come across these cards, you'll know what I mean. So this is actually Mary Magdalene and Jesus. And it says at the bottom, right to love and be loved, and heart healing. So, you know, it's a card you can really just gaze at, and I'll cover it if you want to pause and gaze at this card. There you go. And just really open the heart. Really, I know that I recently went through a mad expansion, and it was just like God was just asking me to like grow my heart more and more and more, like 100,000 times more, and then 100,000 times more again after that. And it really felt very expansive and good, and I'm still kind of feeling the after effects of that and wanting to continue to work on expanding the heart myself more this week. And this is just like confirming the importance of that, not only for myself but for all of you. And because it's really what's going to draw in all of this abundance. I'm feeling like this golden energy that's not only going to be like your spiritual abundance and feeling whole and complete, but also it's going to lead to your new abundance and this new template, this new way of being, ultimately building this new earth. So yeah, what's next? I don't know. I know I feel bad I'm doing all these oracles, but I've been called to pull Lightworker Oracle next, and then we'll see from there. I love the Lightworker Oracle by Alana Fairchild. I've been just lately, I was finding it like actually really helpful. Yeah, not surprised. So this is funny. The bottom of the deck. See, reassurance of the golden light. What was I saying? The golden light's so important this week. And it even looks like the Merlin or like God, like with this golden cosmic light coming through, and she's praying to God. I mean, could it say it any clearer or better? Like, oh my goodness. That's just the bottom of the deck. But the top card is Paradigm Shift. And you have this door, you know, and it's definitely about like moving into a totally, you know, new, higher, next level state of consciousness. You just have to like open the door and allow it to happen. It's not going to just like happen when you're like, if you're running around and like not, you know, keeping into your regular routines all the time. You need to create some space for it this week to allow this to come through. So I love it. So what's next? I feel like the fairy really wants to come through. I was feeling it already, and I'm just gonna like do it. We're gonna pull through some healing fairy energy from Brian Froud's Faeries. All right. Oh, what do we need to know? Okay. So the card that we've got here is the Dark Lady. This card kind of used to scare me. She still kind of looks a little scary to me, but it really has to do with like clearing out the shadows and like really like looking at things that might be blocking you or holding you back. So I definitely think that, you know, it kind of brings back to what I was saying at the beginning about this whole inner child stuff. And so I'm glad it came out, because the other cards haven't really addressed that. They've been pretty positive, and that's a good thing because it's a very positive week. But the fairies will always catch anything where you're missing or you're tripping up, or you're like, the fairies will always trip you up if you've missed something. I can guarantee you that. That's their job. And that's why we love them. But they can also be a little naughty. So, but in this case, we just be grateful that they're just reminding us not to like overlook that process of really looking at those shadows as part of this emotional healing work and this inner child work. And that's really kind of, I think, just like if you can do that, I think the rest is going to really kind of flow, because you'll get the guidance and the intuition to want to do it. So, okay, I'm guided next to pull an energy oracle, which should lead to pulling a couple of tarot before we close. So it's just how this reading wants to go. All right, what do we need to know? I actually really love this reading. I think it's a very exciting time and a very good week. And if you're hearing this message this week, it's bravo on you, because you have done a lot of work on yourself if you're ready to hear this. So, and I'm excited for you. So, what do you need to know? My highest gift. What do we need to know? Your highest gift. All right. I also think it's really cool. The cards have been really like jumpy, which is great. Okay, and what else? And what else? Okay, and what else? Okay. So there's 4 that wanted to come out. So the first one is the Garden and the Gate, number 30. The next one is Adjacent Possibilities. So we'll look at these 2 first. So the garden and the gate is just about like maybe holding back a little bit on into like what's comfortable or familiar, versus like venturing outside to really see what maybe is fully available by trying something new. So again, that's kind of like what I was saying, like you have to kind of walk through the gate consciously for this to happen for you this week. If you don't make that choice consciously to take the leap, it's not necessarily going to, you're not necessarily going to have that full breakthrough. And in order to do that, you have to realize that there are other options. There's other possibilities, which is why we have the adjacent possibility card, number 24, reducing to a 6. So, which is also a number of family, which I'll get back to why that's important later. But you got a 6 and a 3. So, you know, like I feel like, you know, maybe in some cases, like there needs to be this opening up in order to like realize, have this paradigm shift through an adjacent possibility that you hadn't previously conceived was possible. So, and I just like looking up at my little Buddha statue with the sun. So, and that it was just like, whoa, like it was just such a message. So by going into like a deeper meditation and connecting with that, again, this golden light is so key. It's also like the golden light of the Buddha, and bringing it through your being. I think that's really like a key to help unlock seeing these adjacent possibilities and like opening up to this paradigm shift, which is going to help you kind of walk out of this gate into a new place, a new direction. So, and then the next two cards is Archangel Gabriel, 5th chakra, number 39, combined with Happy Family, number 4. And yeah, adds up to 12, which introduces to another 3. So, you know, again, this whole thing about the blue eggs that I saw in the throat and speaking your truth, it's just like, it's just reinforcing that there's a healing going on around that. And whether or not you believe in Archangel Gabriel or not, it's just that chakra is kind of going through a healing right now, and to tend to that, and to, you know, do extra kind of light meditation around your throat, but also to like journal and do things that are going to help to create any sort of activity that's going to help release any beliefs that are holding you back from feeling confident in speaking truthfully and sharing your truth with others. That healing is really happening this week, and that's going to help lead to this happy family time, whether it's with somebody new or resolving things, you know, in a current situation. But in order to really resolve the situation, like really clear communication is going to be required. Very truthful, very open, very honest, very authentic, raw, vulnerable. Is going to bring about something I'm hearing like really magnificent and wonderful and bountiful, beautiful, sacred partnership. So, hooray. So, I'm really excited about that. It's a really, really beautiful energy. What else? It's just God wants to say something about this rainbow, like that there's abundance for all. And like it's also to do with like crossing the rainbow bridge into that like higher dimensional perspective, and helping others to cross the rainbow bridge as well. And that's part of this whole, again, it's part of this whole paradigm shift is crossing that rainbow bridge. And it's like really on the other side of that we can really step into the happy family, free from all these old templates of like old roles of like masculine and feminine, and like old, it's all neutralizing into like the one code. And everything is like really harmonious flow. I'm hearing harmonious flow. So, because harmony is a very, very important aspect of the higher dimensions. Even to the point that like I actually recently in meditation had like a harp sound. It's a beautiful goddess woman in like the magical realms. I was seeing her like strumming this harp, and I ended up strumming my heart as if it was a beautiful harp. And it really opened me up to even further into the magical realms, into connecting with Merlin and really moving through, you know, through this door into that new paradigm. So, you know, it's just, I don't know why I was so guided to say that, but it's just all tied to this energy of harmonious, happy family, within and without. So I have these new herbal tarot cards. I haven't used them much yet. I'm not sure yet totally what I think about them, but they do have a kind of nice light energy to them. And I say that just because like I know some of these plants in a bit of a different way than how they've included in these cards, in a different way than how they're showing them, but yet I still find them like fascinating. I think it's just really, really cool to have like plants with names on tarot cards, and the vibe is like I feel like their vibe is very much this like kind of like Avalon kind of like new earthy vibe, or ancient at the same time, and it's just sort of, you know, there's nothing really super dark because that's sort of done, like we're sort of done with that. So like and it's like plants is like a huge important part of like that sort of ever ongoing healing process that occurs in the new earth, as opposed to like a lot of the like traditional like pharmaceuticals, is everything is like plant medicine. So let's see what wants to come through for the week. What's the overall energy? Okay. And what else? What else the overall energy? And what else is the overall energy? Yeah. Okay. So this makes a lot of sense. So we've got the Eight of Wands reversed. Hey, April. Hey, Victoria. Thanks for joining. So this is just all about like that communication with your inner self and your higher self, rather than it being a lot of communication with other people out in the physical world. That's all this reversal is really kind of suggesting. And the plant is sassafras. So I can't really speak too much about the plants yet on this, but I think that's pretty cool. It's a pretty cool stately tree they've got going on there. And everything is leading towards this tree that's reaching up towards like the heavens, right? And it just feels like it just exactly exudes that energy that I was feeling, where like, yes, it's like very much this like connecting with the higher, right? But it's also like very earthy and grounded at the same time. This can like, you know, it's like you're sitting in the garden having a conversation, you know? And some that's kind of necessary, right? Like, look, like Eckhart Tolle like became like enlightened sitting on a park bench in Vancouver, you know? Like I didn't personally design that garden, where because I'm a landscape architect. I didn't personally design that one, but you know, whoever did put that park bench in should get some credit, I think. So anyway, just stupid jokes. But yeah, so it's like, it's just really very, very, very strong message affirming everything I've said and really confirming the truth, the verity of the reading. And then here we've got 7 of Cups with juniper berries. And again, it's just showing that there's like a lot of options here, right? Like it's the traditional kind of 7 of Cups can, you know, kind of suggest a lot of illusion. But I feel like with this one, it's more about this whole thing about this like adjacent possibilities and like really being able to kind of open up to seeing them. And the only way you can really do that is by like having this like really going in to get this higher guidance. And the last card we've got is the Pan reversed, which is their version of the Devil card reversed. And I feel like this really strongly speaks to all of this stuff that's getting cleared out. Right. It's all of this shadow work, right? It's like, it's not somebody, I hate to say it, but like, it's more about, yes, we've been doing a lot of clearing of spell work, and a lot of that's actually done. And it's like, what needs to kind of really get cleared out really is your own shadows. It's like, it's the devil within that really needs some final healing clearing. And it's nothing to be negative or ashamed about. You just really couldn't really finish it up when you were being affected by all these external forces. It was kind of stopping you from finishing that process in 100% totality, you know? Oh, I love it. Oh my gosh. So here we are, 1 hour, and I think that this is good. I know I did not talk a lot about relationships or unions because that's just not the energy this week. There is lots to come next week and the week after to talk about relationships and unions that are coming forth. It's very exciting. There is going to be, for people that are kind of on the front lines of a lot of this work, some unions coming forward even by late February and leading into March. But it's just that right now that's really all about just connecting and finishing up this work within, and then of course without the external is always just the reflection. So I am sending you all so much love from my expanded heart, and I'm so glad for the people that was able to join me live. And please send me some love if you watch this replay. Thank you for joining. I'd love to hear your comments. I'd love to hear if you need any assistance. And I will be back with some exciting updates and news very soon. Sending you lots of love. Namaste.